Did you see any of the footage yesterday from the president?
I did see some of it, yeah.
Meanwhile, as the president lie in waiting, lie in rest, the current president could not stop tweeting yesterday. There was a bit of a lull and a bit of a silence, and that kind of ended. Although he did go to pay his respects to the president yesterday.
Yeah, was it yesterday? I heard
last night
something about early this morning. There weren't many people there, and all of a sudden Trump and Melania.
Well, they were saying that it was they had ended the point about even though he was available for viewing all night. There was a few people, but Trump earlier in the day.
Oh, okay.
He was there later last night. I guess you'd call it early evening. He was there last night. Okay. We'll get into the school safety thing that occurred at the Utica School District, along with Sheriff Mashel and the county. Charlie Brown coming to town. How about the testimony yesterday on this UC threat? The kid gave testimony that he was on so many Adderall pills that he doesn't recall that day at all. That on that day he had probably taken, 10 to 15 Adderall pills. What will that do to you?
What?
Now, the prosecution is having none of it. They're like saying, we think it's a fantasy.
Okay, so what about the second day?
Well, the second day also.
He was always that second day.
He was on a binge, apparently. So he is saying, and we're looking for this white guy, Jay, who is his dealer. Anybody know him?
No.
Jay, the Adderall dealer?
No.
Jay, if you're out there, we will not turn you in, but we want to know if you're real. Give us a call. Hey, I'm Jay. I'm the Adderall dealer. Yep, I sold it to the kid.
Here's my...
Apparently he was buying them like in lots of 160 pills or something like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Which
kind of conveniently works out in 10 days, 16 pills. I was taking 16. Gave me 10 days worth, whatever.
So
that's a lot of Adderall pills, I would imagine.
One day?
Yeah.
10 to 15?
That is a ton of Adderall. So
I don't really know what Adderall would... I thought doesn't it make you focus?
It does. That's my understanding. So somebody who might have ADHD or ADHD, attention deficit disorder or hyperactivity disorder, would take them, and it would allow you to not follow the shiny bell all over the place all day, right? So you could focus. I went to school with some students when I was a student who were prescribed it because otherwise they would be like buzzing all day in class.
Well, there was people I knew.
Others especially there was a big college thing where
they take it to do a 20-page paper or something.
A big test coming up or something like that.
In college, I know it was more like a recreational thing, but almost geared toward school recreation, where it's like, I need to cram this
with
weekend.
A purpose.
So
we'll be able to chat with the DA on that case, as well as the Syracuse Diocese releasing a list of how many did they release yesterday?
Oh, dozens. I don't have the exact number.
It looks like 15 or 16 of them have contacts to this area.
Oh, that many?
To us, to our region.
I know of 2, and then my mother told me about 2 others. So I only thought 4, but 15. Wow.
I'm seeing there are some reports out there 10 to 15, or even 16 tied to the region. Remember, you could have a Catholic church in Turin that is tied to it. So
right, and at some
in
point,
the region, not necessarily to the city of Utica or the city of Rome, but it's pretty big.
Yeah, and at some point, even if that priest was there for a short time, they move around the district, not always saying that it's for this reason, but that priests move around the diocese like any other profession.
And we're going to talk to John Pisak from the Herkimer County IDA. He's the IDA director. We'll have him on at 6:30 or 8:35 this morning on all the development going down there in Herkimer County at the Pumpkin Patch. They're filling up that place. Pretty cool.
That is awesome. Good for them.
Tanya J. Power standing by right now from Fox News. Stormy Daniels is back in the news. What's the latest here, Tanya?
Good morning. Well, her attorney, Michael Avenatti, had a couple of different court cases to respond to yesterday. In the morning, he was in court about one that's been brought by Stormy Daniels they've brought against Daniels' former lawyer, Keith Davidson. You've probably heard about him and all of this, as well as Michael Cohen. That part was one separate suit. The other one in the afternoon is kind of the one that is getting the most attention due to the really high numbers of money involved in it. That one was in federal court. That hearing was about how much she owes the president in legal fees because her defamation lawsuit was dismissed. The one that they brought against the president has now been dismissed. So they're haggling now over, the attorney's fees for the president. Now, his attorney does not come cheap and says, well, they owe us $780,000, give or take a few bucks. And they said, okay, this is half in legal fees and half in sanctions. So that's where this enormous number comes from, because a lot of news outlets are seeing reporting of about $340,000. That's for the legal fees alone. That's not counting the sanctions. He makes a lot of money. The lead attorney costs $841 an hour. Now, the judge has not ruled on this yet, but he says, well, the hourly rate's not excessive, but the number of the sheer number that you're proposing, possibly is. So we still haven't, the judge hasn't ruled on that yet.
She'd have to do an awful lot of club appearances to pay all that money. That's a lot of money. And he's also got other attorneys working on it, and that's where some of the extra fees come in. They make anywhere from $300 to $700 and something an hour. So, if you were kids, if you're thinking of going to law school, apparently I hear it's quite the lucrative thing. Yeah, if you get the right gig. You got to get the right right one.
Yeah, that's true.
Did she ever repay the $130 from the settlement to begin with, the keep quiet money?
I don't believe so. I don't think that one was. After a while, I'll be honest, it gets kind of hard to decide to figure out what everybody's paid off and what they haven't.
Yeah.
Remember, Michael Cohen's guilty plea had something to do, not the most recent one, but the one a few months ago had everything to do with paying that $130,000. So this is not the last we've heard of all of this, obviously.
She does not seem to select her attorneys. If I needed to have an attorney selected, I wouldn't call Stormy Daniels to make my pick for me. She does struggle there.
You look at it in sheer numbers of eyeballs that are now watching the case.
That's true.
I think she shows pretty well. I mean, she had to pick somebody, honestly, that was as much of a bulldog and as unafraid of really, the press are saying a lot of things as the person she was going up against.
Yeah.
So
she definitely did that.
She made a good decision.
Yeah.
Tanya, let's be honest. She reaches more people on DVD.
Yeah, so. She may very well.
I don't know. Have you seen her Twitter account?
I got to tell you, and you got to think, if you're the anti-Trump crowd is probably larger than the pro-Trump crowd. It really is. And she fits right into that agenda, so you can see why she does well on social media. It's pretty crazy. All right,
oh, yeah.
Tanya, we appreciate it. You have a wonderful day.
Absolutely, thanks.
Tanya J. Powers. It sounds like she's walking through Central Park or something there in New York. Do you know, Andrew? I'm surprised you haven't done this yet, and maybe I missed it. But today is another made-up holiday.
Oh yes, I'm sure I was getting around to it.
Today is another. Oh, do you know which one it is?
I don't.
Today is. I do like Chips Ahoy cookies. They're not real cookies, I don't think, but I do like them.
No,
with milk. You got to put 4 or 5 of them at a time in a nice glass of ice cold milk.
You want it almost soggy from the milk.
Yes. I think you need that.
What do you mean by real cookie?
Today is. I just don't think it's not a real chocolate chip cookie.
Processed.
It's more of a processed.
Okay.
Right. I mean, what you're eating right now is a chocolate chip cookie.
You mean your wife didn't bake those?
No, she didn't. It is National Cookie Day today. For
That's
those
cool.
that
I'm celebrating by having one for breakfast.
You can get free cookies at places like Mrs. Fields. Insomnia Cookies, Great American Cookies, Doubletree Hotels.
Insomnia Cookie. I'm going to tell you something. When I was at
college,
they
do cookies out at the hotels at the Turning Stone.
Yeah, those are good, the opals. But the Insomnia Cookie out of Syracuse, when I went to college out there, they would deliver it, and it would be almost be like a personal pan pizza. A personal pan cookie.
Is it like a?
They bake each cookie individually.
Oh, so it's large.
Oh yeah,
and it's
gooey and it's warm.
I don't think you're going to
get
that for free today. But nonetheless, it's National Cookie Day. And we'll talk a little bit more today about President Bush. Tomorrow is the day of mourning, a national day of mourning. And it is going to mean some changes for you. For instance, the mail service will not deliver regular mail tomorrow.
Really?
That is the decision that was made.
word.
That was a decision that was made yesterday. I believe your banks will be open, but no stock trading tomorrow. It is a national holiday, a national day of mourning for the 41st president of the United States. It's December 4th. Hold tight. We're coming back. Andrew updates the news here on WIBX. General Mail, that is shut down as part of the day of mourning tomorrow. Pretty wild, huh?
I did not know that. And I didn't know that about the stock market either.
Yeah, I don't believe there'll be any stock trading tomorrow. Our annual Christmas Eve extravaganza happens Monday, December 24th from 6 a.m. till 12 noon. Hundreds of people will make their way through the doors here on that day, and it's an awesome show. The lineup is getting bigger, and there'll be a few surprises in there, too. I'm pretty excited. It is sponsored in part by Charlie's Pizza in Washington Mills, and they have their catering special now. They cater here.
I was just going to say one of those making their way through the doors will be Charlie DiGrastina with several boxes of food.
And he feeds everybody.
Yes, he
and
does.
If you think that you can't eat pasta at 7 o'clock in the morning, think again.
All you'll have to do is smell it.
Maybe I should say, if you think we can't eat pasta at 7 o'clock in the morning, think again. And their catering special is available for you to take advantage of. And they have done something big this year where they brought back it used to be buy a full tray of pasta, get a second full tray, half price.
Yep.
But he's lifted some restrictions on this. Now it's buy a full tray, period. And get a second full tray of equal or lesser value for half price. So it could be the greens, it could be chicken, it could be all the stuff that he brings. Pasta. You want to do salads, you buy one full tray of a salad, and you get the second full tray of a salad for half price. So it's an amazing deal if you're having a holiday party or maybe a get-together, a family get-together, or a Christmas Eve show.
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually, shameless plug here, reach out to Utica Pizza Company and Charlie's basically anytime I do an event. And matter of fact, I think Friday night I'm going to do where you pick a salad, an entree, and a pasta, and you feed like 8 people.
Yeah, they're Charlie Box.
The Charlie Box. Yeah, I'm doing that Friday night. So.
By the way, the catering,
options.
all the catering comes out of, they have a huge 3,000 square foot catering facility in Washington Mills. So that's where everything comes out of, and you could pick up from there, but they also deliver for catering as well and set up. Call 315-797-8946. It's Charlie's Pizza. And that Christmas Eve show is 6 a.m. until 12 noon on Christmas Eve. I said that to somebody the other day, and they're like, well, of course it's on Christmas Eve. Hello? You'd be surprised.
Yeah.
Some years, when Christmas Eve, like leaving last year, right? When Christmas Eve falls on a Sunday or a Saturday, we tend to not come in on those days.
Yeah, I mean, why are we going to come in on Saturday to do this show? I mean, our audience
the
is
audience
a weekday.
is a weekday audience.
Yeah.
What do I have here this morning? Guy tries to rescue Clark Griswold Christmas decoration hanging from the roof. This is awesome, and I know there are other people that are doing this decoration thing. So I was out decorating my house, and I honest to God, I truly believe as I'm standing up on that top step of the stepladder on uneasy ground, right? Because it's kind of, you're in the mulch area and you're up there, and I swear to God, I saw my wife with her hands put together as if she was praying that I would just tip over and fall. But I didn't. Although I'm going to tell you, I had a cramp this morning. I'm assuming between that and my sciatica thing that's gone to the other side of my hip. Weirdest thing, just decided to move over to the other side.
Yep.
I had a cramp this morning as I was trying to get into my car.
Oh, yeah.
It was so bad, and it was in a place where I've never had one, like in my thigh, but not on the thigh part that you'd expect. It was like on the inner thigh.
So when you don't know how to react,
I don't know how to get rid of that.
How to move or twist or stretch.
I'm doing the thing with my legs, trying to get it out. I'm under the car, hoping I can do push-ups with the car. It was the most painful.
Luckily, you leave early enough where your neighbors aren't watching this, you know?
That's true.
Because that's the biggest thing. Like, something like that happens, then you have the second worry of, who's watching?
Yeah, I look like an idiot. Luckily, I was in the garage during that.
Oh, that's right.
Someone in Austin, Texas was driving. So this is the Christmas decoration thing. There are people that they put up this really nice display, and then they get a mannequin, and they make it look like the mannequin is dangling from the ladder. And what's happening around the country is people are calling 911 because they think it's really going on. Someone in Austin wanted to win their neighborhood Christmas decoration contest, so they used a mannequin to recreate the scene from Christmas Vacation where Clark Griswold falls off the roof and dangles from the gutter. But a random guy passing by thought it was real, tried to save him, and the home security camera got it all on video. Here is the audio of that.
Oh, mister, please hold on.
I'll save you.
All right. Can you reach it? Can you reach it? Help!
That is hilarious. Did you hear when he first ran up? I got you. Please hold on.
Yeah.
Please hold on.
I just actually watched that movie the other night. It's just hysterical.
It is pretty cool though that everybody's got a camera outside their house now, it seems, and so you're able to pick up all of this stuff. And anyway, the news there in Texas did an interview with the guy who tried to save Clark Griswold and the family who lives in the house. And here we'll start, I believe, with the guy who was trying to save the dangling person. Here we go.
Only had been up for one day.
Oh, this is the family.
So we actually put up a sign because we didn't want that to happen to anybody else. We felt so bad. That Clark G is part of our Christmas display. Please do not call 911.
I was trying to get him down any way I can. Except when I started talking to him, he never said nothing. I said, oh, my God, I hope he's not dead.
Hundreds of people drive by this house every day seeing that mannequin hanging up there. And I'm standing by the one guy who cared enough to save somebody's life. He jumped out and did it.
He didn't give up. He was going to save whatever he had to do. He was going to save old Clark Griswold.
Yeah.
Someday when he gets up to heaven,
I hope he's not dead.
he's in front of the pearly gates. He's going to go, I saved a mannequin one time.
Yeah. Well, it's the thought that counts, right? Isn't that what they say?
It is. Good for him, seriously.
As long as we're staying with inspiration from movies, an 11-year-old boy in Illinois got his tongue stuck to a frozen pole last Tuesday and said he did it to see if the scene from A Christmas Story was real. He was stuck for 7 minutes and eventually pulled his tongue off. He is fine, but said, quote, some of my taste buds came off onto the pole.
I didn't think this was a real thing.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't do it. Actually, why don't you go try it out? It's
yeah.
I'll do this stunt. I mean,
Oh,
come on.
yeah, do
How
it.
cold does it have to be?
It needs to be cold.
Like below zero?
Not
Probably
necessarily,
freezing,
but in the 20s. If you were in the low 20s, you probably would. It depends on how cold that. It's got to be a nice metal pole.
Jeff, don't
And
do
just
it.
the saliva on my tongue
Will freeze.
and it will be, if I pull on it, it'll be like on the movie.
Yeah.
See, I don't buy that because I'm over 200
I've done
pounds.
it before.
And you got stuck.
I didn't do it. I have people do things like that. It's a radio show, man. It's a radio show.
They couldn't get
I tape
themselves
it.
off.
He facilitated it.
I think that's I'm not.
Well,
buying
I think we should save that for the Christmas Eve show. That would be a great. Then you can wash it down with Charlie's Riggies or something.
You won't be able to taste any of it.
And a 69-year-old guy in the Netherlands named Emily Rettelband has been trying to officially change his age from 69 to 49 because he's sick of dealing with age discrimination. So that's how he's going to do it.
Smart.
His doctor says he's as healthy as someone in their 40s. He just lost a court case yesterday, but was extremely upbeat afterwards because he thinks this trial actually gave him a lot of ammunition for his upcoming appeal. Here we go.
This is great. The rejection of court is great. Because they give all kind of angles where we can connect when we go in appeal. This is great. Because they say, it's not general problem. The people don't have...
Sir, we're not going to hire you. It has nothing to do with your age. You're an idiot. That's the reason we're not going to hire you.
What did you have a...
I don't have it. No.
I think it's kind of ridiculous. I credit this guy. He's 69, right? Wants to be 49. He figures if he's 50... I actually heard an interview with him. If he's 50, he's got a lot to live for, and he feels young and vibrant. But if he's almost 70, he feels like not so much, which I don't necessarily agree with that. But it's fine if you want to put this on social media, but he's trying to legally change his age?
Correct.
Think of all the headaches that go with that.
You couldn't do that.
You can't do that,
You can't
right.
legally change your age.
Right.
It would be impossible to do, right?
Well,
you can change your name, but you
making
can't
the
change
case.
You are as old as you are. He's trying to make the case.
I thought you were as old as you feel.
That's a good point. Wayne on the line right now. Wayne has stuck his tongue to a pole.
Tell him it's not true, Wayne.
I'll tell you what, you better not do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, it's absolutely true.
It's real.
Around all the schools back when I went to school, I mean, I'm 51, but when I went to school, they had bars around the whole school. Just for some reason, they had bars from the building out to the sidewalks.
Yeah.
So you could either, when you played ball, you could bang your head on it, or you could stick your tongue to it, or you can get injured in some way anyway. But but I'm telling you what, it's definitely not sanitary.
Oh, that's true.
Right.
Also,
Yeah, that goes without saying.
Yeah, and anyway, I went up to it one day, like Bill said, it has to be like below zero, and I just was playing around, waiting for my turn to do whatever, maybe going for pom-pom tackle or something, and I just put my wet lips on it, and both of my lips stuck to it, and part of the tip of my tongue, and I felt it and quickly pulled away, and the skin
comes right
both
off.
my tongue and the outer part of my lips was stuck to that pole, like fingerprints.
It will rip your skin right off.
I pulled away quick.
The key to it is not to panic. Don't panic, and probably breathe hot air onto the that will help them. I've heard stories of people when they couldn't find a liquid, they might have used absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a story.
Come along and urinate on
There was a story a couple of years ago where somebody that the mother, or I guess it wasn't the mother. Anyway, let's move past this.
Yeah.
She was something.
Good luck. Good luck.
Thanks, Wayne. At least you confirmed the truth to this. And here's John in Bridgewater, by the way. Hello, John. How's your electric? You have power up there?
Oh, yeah.
Everything's
I'm
good.
Happy. When she's happy, I'm happy.
That's a good thing. Yes.
You tell Jeff I've done that. And
Okay.
I'll pay $20 to see him do it. Because
Me
I
too.
tried to get saliva up to loosen my tongue on the pole.
Okay.
And there's no way. So I pulled it off. Let me tell you. Try eating or drinking beverages after that.
Oh, I can, because think about burning your tongue.
Oh.
It's a good 24 hours that you're. But
at least.
But you're pulling skin off
You're
your tongue.
pulling
here.
everything off in your tongue, and you bleed pretty good.
Oh, my
I'll pay him
goodness.
$20 to watch it.
All right, we're raising money for the toy drive.
All
I
right.
like it.
Yep.
All right, thank you, John.
See, you know what? Part of me wishes
the key to get it off is to pour warm water over the over it, and then you'll be released. But I'm telling you, it's a real deal.
Part of me wishes that nobody called in to warn him, and that he would have done it, and then he would have had to learn the hard way.
Oh, and he would have. And by the what happens is just like any metal. So the metal conducts heat, but it also conducts cold. So when it is so cold, it's very difficult to get the metal warmed up to the point where it will release the skin. It's something. By the way, the lines lit up after you said this wasn't true. We could have taken 10 phone calls.
Apparently, it is a real thing. I just thought, with my tongue and the amount of, it's not a
you think
big
you have a heavy
surface
tongue?
area. No, but it's just not a big surface area, right?
His tongue is special.
No,
He
I'm
does
saying
curls.
I'm saying
Tongue
my
curls
tongue,
at the gym.
I'm saying my tongue compared to. I mean, let's be honest. I go over 250 pounds. My 6'1" frame, 250 pounds versus just the tip of my tongue on a pole. I didn't think it would really.
The way that we could do it is we'll get a pole. We'll get a metal pipe. We'll leave it outside when it's at its coldest. But it'll be a pipe that you actually could bring inside. Because remember, you're stuck to that pole. You can't get away from the pole.
Okay.
So as you try to move, if you were to fall, you're gonna really injure yourself. This way, you could bring it in and warm it up to get your tongue out.
And being
as long as
Polish,
you want to do this,
we can call it a pole on a pole or something.
Okay,
like that.
I do like that. All right, Peter Franklin, the Gabby Cabby, coming right up. We'll take a quick 60-second break at WIBX. Peter Franklin is the Gabby Cabby in New York City. The Big Apple. Beautiful time to head to the Big Apple and enjoy the holiday season. Peter Franklin, good morning.
Good morning, good morning. Live from the streets of the Big Apple.
Of the Big Apple. And, of course, his tour is just amazing, and we're going to do this. I think in 2019, Peter, we're going to make this happen. We'll bring down a group. We'll do it on one of those luxury buses. That'd be kind of they're not as big as a big bus, right? You take it to a football game or something. So
that's you. We'll work it out.
Yeah, we'll make it work. I'm really excited about this.
How about a refurbished stretch limo, Peter?
Yeah, we'll take care of that too.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure I want to do
Heavily
that.
scented with perfume.
The Russian collusion. You have a proposal here on this Russian collusion thing.
I
like
do.
it.
It's time to stop fooling around. On my website, you'll see a picture of a bottle of Russian salad dressing. which, according to all reports from the Department of Agriculture, et cetera, is the most popular salad dressing in the United States. I think we ought to ban it.
Yeah, because
that's it.
Yep, we're colluding with Wishbone.
Exactly. A feeble attempt at some humor this morning, but in the midst of all the other Russian stuff, I thought, why can't I participate too? So
one thing that
seriously, folks, to the manufacturers of the Russian dressing, most of us make it ourselves in the home. I don't really mean it, but it's, I don't know.
Their Russian dress, the Russian dressing though you get is a little more red and liquidy than I prefer a nice mayonnaise with a little pickle relish and some vinegar and ketchup. That makes
we could set up a table at your nearest university and probably raise money.
Although that's probably Thousand Island, right? That's which is different than Russian.
Yes, that is like a Thousand Island.
Oh, darn it! How about Peter? The many manhole covers in New York City. I think people would be shocked. I don't even know the exact number, but
yeah, I mean, at the risk of destroying our tourist business, this time of year, it has something to do. I guess if you paid attention in your high school physics class, the relative humidity and what have you, there's a lot of steam and heat underneath the city because anybody who comes in notices where's all the telephone wires, where's all the electric wires. Well, they're all underneath, along with the subways, the sewers, and everything else. So a tremendous amount of heat and pressure builds up, and if something goes wrong, one of those manhole covers, which no ordinary human being can even lift up, much less fling it across the street, come flying out. And that picture that I have on the website of the car being partially on a manhole cover, a knowledgeable New Yorker does not do that.
Yeah, I mean you could really be seriously injured, right?
Especially if you're in the car.
Yeah. Okay, something to think about. And how about the Madonna story? She has an apartment there in New York, but they want her out, right?
Yeah, well, it's on Central Park West. One of the things I enjoy doing is pointing out to people the buildings that these people live in. But remember, somebody like Madonna has 6 residences all over the world. I'm seizing on the opportunity. She lost the court case. The cooperative board of her building doesn't like the fact that she goes away and leave her children with the nanny and all of that kind of thing. I guess that's their right, whatever. But in any event, the judge ruled that the co-op board can do anything they want to do. And I use that just as an illustration because in New York City, if you buy a condominium or co-op, you're subject to all the rules and regulations of the board.
Yeah.
You really don't have any rights about it. So if they come up with something like they don't want your kids to be left alone, even if you're Madonna, you're going to lose. They can discriminate against you because of occupation, but they certainly can't discriminate against you because, let's say, of race or religion.
Right,
so for those of you who are thinking of buying her apartment, which is probably about $40 million, I just want you to be aware of the trials and tribulations of ownership.
Yeah, we were thinking about it.
This way you'll think about it some more.
We'll finalize the deal when we come down and take the tour. That's when we're going to
listen, we got apartments here that go for $100 million.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
That's right, and people stand in line to get them.
Peter Franklin, it's the best tour in New York City. Check it out, maybe for the holiday season. You go to Gabby.com for details. We'll do it again next week. Peter, thanks so much.
Nice of you to say that.
All
Bye-bye.
Right. Peter Franklin. I've been talking to Peter since 1992, off and on over the years.
That's 25 years.
That's a long time.
That's over 25 years.
Pretty wild. I don't know which one that makes older. Well, he's older, but he's still kicking, still doing really well. And he does shows. You could hear it sounded like there was a call coming in. That's because he does shows all over the world, on radio stations all over the world. And he's a real cab driver. Oftentimes when we talk to him, you'll hear noise in the background. It's he's in the cab garage, whatever that is. So, all righty, listen. Coming up next hour, we're going to talk to Anthony Lapola from the Utica City School Board on this school safety initiative that a deal they put together not with the city but with the county. Also, Charlie Brown is coming to town. Derek Clark in from Broadway, Utica, and DA Scott McNamara next hour. We're going to talk about the Syracuse Diocese. I believe 15 or so priests somehow connected to this area. We'll get to it. I want to tell you something really odd. I save all of my luck for little things. My luck never comes into play for a lottery, for the Comets 50-50. When the jackpot and the Powerball goes up to $1 billion, I never have any luck. But I have luck. I waste my luck on little things, and my wife and I, our luck. So listen to this. The other night, we're driving home, and my wife said my two favorite, because Hootie and the Blowfish was on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
My two favorite bands in the world, Hootie and the Blowfish and Bare Naked Ladies. Okay. So yesterday on the Today Show, it was announced that Hootie and the Blowfish are teaming up with the Bare Naked Ladies. So you can see the things going off in my head. This could be a Christmas gift. Although expensive. The ticket prices are huge. $160 for a...
Really? The range that I reported was $29 to $129.
Oh, okay.
It's back.
Even that's...
Are you looking at Canada? Were you looking at Canada?
Listen to this story, though.
Okay.
Two favorite artists, Hootie and the Blowfish, Bare Naked Ladies. Just talking about it the other night. Yesterday they announced they're going on tour. They're going to be at SPAC, but on August 9th, they're going to be in Canandaigua. My wife was born on August 9th in Canandaigua.
Get out.
Is that not the weirdest story? Born in Canandaigua, August 9th, favorite band, Hootie and Bare Naked Ladies. Talking about it the other night, they announced they're going to be performing at the Constellation Brands Performing Arts Center in Canandaigua, New York, on her birthday. I'm screwed if I don't get her tickets for that.
You are.
And I'll tell you, that's a ready-made gift, though. I mean, you don't have to put much thought into this one.
You're right. I put this whole thing together. You're going to love it. I'm doing it on your birthday. All right. So, is that the coolest story?
That is.
That's a concert I have to go to see as well.
Yeah, that's going to be a great show. All right, coming up, we'll talk about the deal they put together in Utica with the county. By putting peace officers. They're technically called...
Patrol officers.
Special
patrol officer is different than a school resource officer. There are subtle differences, but...
not with the city. No deal put together with the city. The deal was put together with the county. And we'll talk to Anthony LaPola about that coming up. Also this hour, Derek Clark, Broadway, Utica. And we're going to have in studio Oneida County DA Scott McNamara. I want to get into some of this testimony, too, that occurred yesterday from this kid in that UC threat, where he's saying he doesn't remember what went on that day. Can't recall because he was so high on Adderall. Also, the priest story, we believe that there are close to 15 or 16 priests announced yesterday, deceased or still living, that have had at some time a connection to this area. 15 or 16 of them. And we'll talk to the DA about that. Isn't this one of the songs Dave Gordon does?
No, he's more of a Nickelback guy.
Yeah.
No, that's Nickelback, you're thinking. That 90s rock band formula is always kind of...
Here they are yesterday, Hootie and the Blowfish announcing their reunion tour yesterday in the Today Show.
We've been a band 33 years now, and so getting back together was... We don't really, I don't think we felt like we were ever apart. We just weren't out playing a lot of shows.
Were you a little bit like, should we come back or should we just leave well enough alone?
No, it was the 25th anniversary of Correct Review. And we knew we were going to do a tour again sometime. And it just seemed like the right time to go out this year and do it and have fun. And we're doing it for the fans. Because, I mean, there were people that...
No, they're doing it for my wife, I think. The fact is, too, that is interesting is that she has seen both of these acts she saw. One was in college before they were famous. So before they had a hit record, she saw them for some function. It's really quite an interesting story in my life, and believe me, it doesn't take much. Anthony LaPola's on the Utica School Board, and here to talk about the deal put together yesterday that is focusing on safety in a deal cut with Oneida County. Good morning, Anthony.
Good morning. How are you this morning?
Good. So tell us about this deal yesterday. It's going to be putting patrol officers,
special patrol officers in each of the schools, including the elementary schools, right?
That is correct. The special patrol officers are going to be just in the elementary schools.
Got it.
Right now, at the middle school and high school, we already have Utica Police in those schools protecting. So this is a really great working partnership with Oneida County Sheriffs and the Utica Police Department in keeping our students safe and our faculty and essentially all of our buildings secure. So we're very happy. We're very excited. Anthony Pacenti and Sheriff Mashal did a great job, and we're very happy to be partnering with both of them. And essentially without them, we really wouldn't be able to get the SPOs in our elementary schools.
I do have to ask. You have UPD in the high school. Why were you not able to come to an agreement with the city of Utica?
Well, we had several meetings with the city of Utica, and it really came down to staffing. We didn't want to take away staff from the city of Utica and protecting our streets, and they really weren't able to give us those needs for the coverage that we want in elementary school. So, but we're very happy that Chief Williams and the sheriff, we're all going to be working together, so we're excited about it.
Can you tell me the difference between? Explain to me what is a special safety patrol officer, and will they have a weapon? Tell me about who they are and what they're going to be doing.
Sure. So these special patrol officers are retired police officers that are joining with Oneida County. They will be in full Oneida County uniform. They will be armed, and they will be at each one of our elementary schools. We have about 20 that are going to be starting after the first of the year, part-time. So we'll have one person in the morning, one person in the afternoon to make sure we cover the day-to-day operations in the buildings. But so they're a little different than the peace officers. Peace officers are really not allowed to carry a weapon, but these individuals will have extensive background checks. So that we'll make sure that they'll be ready to go.
And extensive experience, which I think is...
And firearms training, too. That's a big part of it because they would have had that law enforcement experience.
Right.
Absolutely. And the greatest part about this is, we're able to keep costs down, again, with the county executive and our superintendent and the Board of Education. We really worked, making sure we kept costs down and keeping our children safer. When I think when everybody was running for the school board, we all said that, there's got to be a way. There's got to be a way to work together, and we finally did it. So we're all very happy.
Yeah, hats off to the Utica School District and the county, to be honest with you, because they've done this in other districts as well. I think in other districts, I believe it's different, and maybe you can shed some light on this. Other districts maybe call it an SRO, a school resource officer, which I believe are still active police. But I think you clarified the point that these are retired, coming back. So
these this is now, there will be, including these Utica elementary schools, there will be 50 SPOs in Oneida County. So in Oneida County, we don't have any school resource officers, to my understanding. Right. But SPOs we do have.
Yep, and they are corrections officers as well. So I want to make sure that it's just not police officers, but they are trained in firearms, and again they're going to be uniformed. They'll be be able to identify in the school districts. And the best part about this is, and we've all talked about it, this is also going to be a role model for a lot of our students. What we see today out in this country with police officers and how they come across to a lot of the younger individuals. We want to make sure that this is also a good opportunity to be role models for our students. So,
can I
very, very
emphasize on that too? It is so important to have some of these, especially kids in any inner city, to have positive contact with law enforcement. It is extremely important, and I don't think over the years we've done enough of that. But this really fits right into that mission, right?
Oh, absolutely, and we just. I was talking to somebody yesterday, and just a simple high five in the hallway. Just to say, hey, how are you? And to know that we are being protected. And again, this is the first step of getting people into officers into our schools. But we're going to continue to progress in technology with safety. So this is just the first step. But we're very, very excited. And again, we cannot thank Anthony Pacenzi enough and Sheriff Mayshaw for their assistance in this.
Very nice, Anthony. And by the way, is that we knew it was going to happen, but that Hobica guy causing trouble on the board?
Joe Hobica is not causing any trouble.
All right.
Listen, without him, he's getting in policy and procedure like he promised, and
that's his thing, boy. I'm going to tell you. Yep. All right, cool.
So we're very happy.
All right, Anthony. Thanks so much for taking the time this morning.
Thanks so much.
All right.
Talk to you soon.
Again, hats off. Can't say it enough. The Utica School District in this case. The sheriff's
office.
I
think it's a good move.
And the county executive's office to be proactive. Obviously, we haven't had a situation like we've seen across the country here. But to do this, I think a lot of our students in our communities are safer and more protected than they are in other parts of the country. And I think we can all be thankful and grateful for that.
On the priest issue, and we'll get into this some more with the district attorney. Bill, remember, this is Donna. The 15 or 16 priests are ones that are from this area, have had contact in this area, are the ones that were from the Syracuse Diocese. What about the ones that were in the Syracuse Diocese and were moved to another diocese or even into another country? That probably would make that figure even higher when you think about that. I hope we can get someone from the diocese on.
I'm working on that.
Because I'd like to ask that question. Is this 15 or 16 the full list of any who have ever had contact in our region? And does it exclude those that have been moved out?
I believe that these are...
I don't think we know the answer to it.
Well, I know there's one on the list that was moved out and then came back. And
then came back, though. So the question is...
I don't know. You're right. I don't know.
I'd like to know that this... It'd be nice to know if 15 or 16 is the largest number we know of. And by the way, these are all credible accusations.
Right.
All right, hold on tight. Derek Clark from Broadway, Utica coming in. Interesting stuff going on over at the Stanley. I want to get into that. And Charlie Brown coming to town. We'll get to it next to WIBX. Joseph and Andrew Hobica giving you a chance to win. $100 in cash here this morning, and then Oneida County DA Scott McNamara. And we're going to talk about a couple of issues, the Syracuse Diocese story. And I do wonder, can anything be done to these priests now? And it is egregious that this wasn't turned over to law enforcement when it was initiated, but that's where we are. And also on that Oneida, or the Utica College threat, and that trial that's going on in Oneida County. Very interesting. This kid he was on the stand yesterday saying, I don't remember anything. I was on Adderall. Lots of Adderall.
Yeah,
that's what he's claiming.
I've never heard that before, but
and believe me, the prosecution is not buying it at all. Derek Clark, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
How is it out there? Is it a little brisk?
Yeah, it's
morning?
brisk and slippery up in my neck of the woods, up on 12. So,
okay. So Charlie Brown coming to town.
He's a clown.
This is a one night only show, right?
The one night only show, and I get to actually watch live Andrew eat his yogurt. Usually, I tune in at 6 o'clock to see this.
Yes.
Every morning, 6 o'clock, I watch Andrew.
Morning.
Yeah,
it takes him about an hour to get through his Chobani.
It's a lot. It's a gallon and a half he has to have every day. So,
and it's noticeable too. It's crazy.
Well, thank you.
I told Jason just last week. I said it looks like both of you actually. Are you doing anything?
I'm doing a couple things, but I don't think any of them are healthy. So, but
I thought he had an influence on you.
He had a stomach bug a couple days ago.
That'll do it.
I'm much less fast food.
Yogurt's supposed to help with that.
Yeah,
much less fast food and junk food. So, that's
well, it's doing you wonders. I mean, you're doing great, doing well.
Appreciate it, Bill.
Charlie Brown, important stuff.
This is a one night only show.
One night only, non-subscription show. It's a show for the kiddies. We're bringing it in at 7 p.m. It's short, it's sweet, it's fast, it's wonderful, and it'll get everybody in the holiday spirit.
Nice. So is the show, explain, are they in character? Obviously they're in character, but is there...
They're not in big heads, no.
That's what I thought. When they were
Thank you for that, because I didn't know how to ask that question.
Almost like the mascot at like a baseball game, when you see the sausages running or something. So they look like real people?
They look like real people. It is a stage performance of Charlie Brown, and it's brought to us by Gershwin Entertainment, which is the Gershwin, and also owns a lot of holiday shows, and owns Rudolph as well, which we had a couple years ago.
Those do well.
They do very well. And again, it's they're pow pow pow, and kids have little attention spans, as you know. So I know that Carter will be there.
Yeah, my little guy's going to be in the audience,
and I was thrilled about that because he hasn't been able to come to any of our shows.
Right.
Well, we did. You're right. You're correct.
Am I correct?
Not so far this year.
We did
Kinky Boots, right? You took him to Kinky Boots.
No, was when he was in for Sesame Street. He's seen Sesame Street twice, but that's different. That's not you guys. But he's seen shows before. This will be his first Broadway Utica show.
Because he saw Sesame Street during the daytime hours, like the matinee performance. I remember that. Yes.
So this is good for what ages?
All ages.
All ages.
Yes.
Okay.
It's interesting to see. It's really the 40 55-year-olds, I think, are more excited about it than the kids are.
Do they do the trademark Charlie Brown dance?
There's a possibility.
It's like just the two dances,
the two moves.
I'm actually really good at that's the only dancing I do.
I also would like to know, with technology today, we've seen it with several shows that have come through. The latest in technology, the large size of the stage now allows for a really modern, awesome performance. And I'm wondering if this has any of that element.
Well, they always do because the shows always travel with an A version and a B version because you never know until you're actually on site. We do all the pre-tech work months in advance and all the way up until we were still doing tech work yesterday.
Wow.
For this show. And, we have to just make sure all of our line sets are correct and that we're communicating that with the producers and the carpenters and the tech crew from the show. As they get closer and closer to the date, things change. Line sets may not be exactly how they thought when they get there. So they may have to switch versions. And, one of the perfect example was Cinderella last year. Cinderella has an A version and a B version. And the B version is, what if we get caught in a snowstorm and get stuck? And we don't have the full 10 hours that it's going to need to set the stage.
Wow.
What do we do?
Yeah.
You can't cancel the show, so you have to have an abbreviated version.
Okay.
And so the show is the same. So we'll find out tomorrow. We'll definitely go with the A version because we don't have weather-related issues. It's going to be very cold on Friday.
I think you're going to be okay this week.
No snow.
You could always call Rachel Witter in her snowmobile.
I think Rachel Witter needs to be calling me every single morning when I wake up. I love Rachel. Can you imagine what Rachel's wearing when because she always looks great on television. She always looks fantastic. She's always dressed perfecly.
I would get in trouble for asking that question, but
you would.
I'm glad you asked.
I would.
Let's imagine.
I think she's.
We're going to pause for a moment. Wow.
I've hung out with Rachel outside of work, and she always looks fabulous. And so I just wonder what she looks like in the mornings. Is she in her footy pajamas?
Very interesting. All those TV people, right? With us, it's like we drag ourselves out of bed. We just show up.
Roll in.
Not much to see here.
Yeah, until they throw that camera in the corner.
Yeah.
Oh,
all right, I want to ask you, Derek, I know there are big changes happening at the Stanley with the retirement of Jerry Krause. How does that involve you guys, and what's the game plan here? Do you have any idea?
I don't know. They have not shared that with us yet. We are, of course, quite interested in what is going to happen. There's the $1 million question, and the one that I probably have at least 100 email or text correspondences is, are you taking the job? That has come up. I have said at this point, no. They have not approached me with that, and it's not on the docket as we speak. I think it would be the right thing.
That would be an interesting because you rely so much on the Stanley, and you're already bringing shows in. What if you could combine the two positions? I never really thought about that, but that would be very interesting.
And a lot of people don't know my background, but I spent 30 years as a senior executive in the fashion industry, all 30 years, and at the senior level. And I re-engineered or was on the re-engineering team for 3 companies. And within those 3 companies that I helped re-engineer, 2 of them were, there were divisions within the company. And, the goals are always, when I was with Perry Ellis, we had 26 brands. And, one of our brands was Original Penguin, which is a huge Brooklyn hipster brand. And and I was challenged with saving the brand basically. And as my CEO, Mr. Feldenkrais, told me one day, he's like, if this brand fails, it's all your fault.
Right? Did it fail?
No, the brand did not fail, and the brand is doing very well. And part of it is that I was able to identify what this market was for this brand. Who was this market targeted towards? And it was the Brooklyn hipsters. And to this day, the Brooklyn hipsters still wear Original Penguin. It's one of the trendiest brands in New York City. It's still a small brand, but it's owned by one of the largest fashion houses. So we were able to sell that brand, and we were able to acquire other brands as well. I look at this whole process exactly the same way. This is Stanley's a brand, Broadway Utica is a brand. It would make sense. It would make sense for the community. It'd be the right thing for the community for these two to come together. And everyone says, oh, there was this long history way beyond your arrival of all these things. And you know what? Nobody can tell you why the two brands were never brought together. Nobody remembers.
Would it be almost a consolidation of the two entities, do you believe?
Yeah, I believe it's either a consolidation, it's either
because that would be what would most make sense. Because now you're working on making both entities as one profitable.
Absolutely.
And I think that would be very important. But I guess that really does make sense.
And for us, our jewel for what we have to offer and what we have to bring is the theater first and foremost.
Yeah.
The community is right under that, and what we have to offer on the tech shows with the with the hotels and restaurants and bars and just the community interaction. But we really do need. I mean, why not share in that wealth?
Yeah,
why not share? The financial part of it is something that would definitely have to be worked through. The Stanley has been working on some debt reduction. I know, which is important. They have a financial shadow that we don't have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But with my history and with what I do and being able to really identify what the community wants and needs and where it needs to go, it makes perfect sense. But
very interesting.
That's something that their board would have to approach us about.
Too. Would be an easy move, right?
Yeah,
move the offices right across the street.
And we also too, from the programming perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I mention this a lot is that with different theater groups in this community, I love to support all the theater groups. I love to support their certain charities and events. I mean, I was at an Abraham House event last night. Such a wonderful organization, and I'm very passionate
really
about
is.
that.
Yep.
But I like to spread the wealth. I like to support everyone that I feel that delivers a message that I can get behind. And excuse me. And that's part of what this whole picture is.
Yeah,
it's all about the community and how we come together and make things work for everyone.
Very interesting.
And on the programming side, it would be a big win for all of us on the programming side.
I totally agree with that.
We wouldn't have this competition going on.
Right. You'd be working in unison. And somebody, Anthony Pacenti, always talking about consolidation. You'd be more effective and financially could very well be far more efficient.
You're so much more effective,
Yeah.
and getting a return on the investment. I have to look at every single show that way, and of course, it all rolls into a total season. But that would be something that we would all be able to feed off of, and it would be a win-win across everyone, or for everyone across the board.
Although I will tell you that it is known around the industry as the C word, consolidation. It's one of the really nasty words out there. When it's brought up, people kind of fear that because you fear that you're losing. When townships do it, it's like you have your board over here and you have your board over here, and everybody's like, "Well, we like our board and we like our board." But I think it's the way of the future. Consolidating. We're all so broken up. I think we're better when we're working together for one cause.
And the efficiency. I mean,
we
would be so much more efficient, and there would be so much less back and forth. And maybe it's just a management deal. Maybe that's what we look at. That's a possibility as well.
We'll ask the question. So I appreciate.
I do want to mention one other thing too, though, for the listeners. We are having, we're doing a Charlie Brown meet and greet before the show. It is $35 a ticket. It is not at the theater. It is at a different location nearby. And I want to give a big thank you to Bill Bauer from Pathfinder Bank and to Joan Brown Hobaika from State Farm Insurance. They sponsored a group of children. We're working with Kids Oneida. We got the list yesterday of the kids that wouldn't be able to come to the show.
Awesome.
But because of their generosity, they've sponsored a group of kids. They get to meet Charlie, hang out with them. But it is open to the public as well for to have that ticket in advance.
Right.
We did some work with BB Design over the weekend, and of course, we want to thank the Fort Schuyler Club for giving us the space to do this.
It is Charlie Brown. It's coming up. Get tickets. They're available. And the meet and greet thing is something you buy into?
Yes, you have to call our office to get tickets. There's no tickets sold at the door because it's not even at the theater and it's prior to the show.
Okay.
It is a separate event. And to call our office at 315-724-7196 for tickets. or you can go online to purchase at BroadwayUtica.com.
Derek, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And we'll see you at our Christmas Eve show as well.
Yes, I look forward to it.
Coming up, always a big event. Joseph and Andrew Hobaika, 315-724-1600 is the phone number. And we're going to do it again right here. Tim in Alien standing by, ready to take a shot. Good morning, Tim. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. You ready to go? Remember, you get your answer in. Even if you don't know it, get an answer in within the 7 seconds. You'd be shocked at the number of people who have guessed and guessed correctly. So it's well worth it. Here we go. Here is your question. We just had Derek in from Broadway Utica, and the show Charlie Brown is coming to the Stanley. Tickets are available now. So my question for you: what year did the Peanuts comic strip debut? Ready? Go.
1967.
Was it 1967? Well, I'm afraid it was 17 years prior. 1950 is the answer. Yeah. All right, listen, though, nothing to worry about. We're going to give you a gift card to the 72 Tavern and Grill, which is the restaurant connected to the Adirondack Bank Center. Have you been there yet, Tim?
I have. It's fantastic.
It is. Well, we're going to give you a $25 gift card, all right? And
excellent. Thank you.
Davey's going to hook you up. Sit tight, and thanks, and we'll do it again. Davey, he wins the gift card. That's the 72 Tavern and Grill, located at the Adirondack Bank Center. The food is, it's a great sports bar, but the food is really good. Lunch and dinner.
Incredible.
So I'm assuming Mr. DA, Scott McNamara, you've been there.
Yes, I have.
It's nice, right?
It's very good.
It's
very good.
Food's good. The atmosphere is nice. I like it. So let's start with the, because I have to ask you about the Utica College.
I figured you would do that.
Because yesterday's testimony was somewhat surreal, at least from our vantage point. But let's start with this story from the diocese.
Yeah, I can't really talk too much about the Utica College case because it goes to the jury today.
Oh, it does?
Yeah. And,
okay.
There's the jury's supposed to report in at 9:45, and closing statements will be made. I would guess the jury would get the case around noonish.
What if I were to say, jurors, turn off the radio? No.
Well, then we'll have to have
Still
you
don't
come
think
back.
that'd cut it. I'll be more than glad to come back and talk after it's over.
I will say that yesterday, this whole story about without you commenting, the story about the Adderall. He claimed yesterday that he doesn't remember anything that happened on those 2 days because he was so high on Adderall. And I must say, without you don't say a word. Let me just
pretend you're not here.
I'm not saying anything.
But the prosecution didn't buy any of that. So it'll be interesting to see what the jury's take on all of this is. So with that said and out of the way, this how in the world this church has survived, the Catholic Church has survived many controversies throughout many years. And this seems to be one of the most horrible. The fact that these cases came to them and they were not reported to authorities is just the worst part of the story, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But what we're talking about are abuse cases that most of them took place in long before 2000. Most of them took place in the 70s, 60s, 70s. Most of them that we've only had a few that actually even took place in the 80s. So we're talking very old cases. Yeah. And I will say this much in Bishop Cunningham's defense. He's taken a leadership role on this, and historically the church has suppressed this type of information. The church has tried to take care of it internally and has excluded law enforcement from its investigations. That is not the case anymore. I've worked very closely with the diocese. Ever since I became the DA, I first started meeting with the attorneys that represent the diocese. Bill Fitzpatrick, the DA of Onondaga County, he actually had a case, and based upon that case, we all sat down. When I say we all, a whole bunch of the DAs throughout the whole region that all have the Syracuse Diocese in their county, sat down with the Dias back in 2014, 2015. We entered an MOU. The church agreed that they would turn everything over to us, that anytime somebody came forward to them, that they would notify us. And actually, as part of the negotiations, they were asking what we wanted, and I know Bill and myself and some of the other DAs, we all wanted a list of the priests that had been accused in our county. So I've actually had the list for some time.
Is it 16?
I don't know the exact number. I know I heard you talking when I was driving in. My understanding of the list is anybody that there was a credible accusation against them that was in this area, regardless of what happened to them afterwards. So many of these priests are now deceased. I know some of them were removed from the church.
Yeah.
But if I guess the question was if they were here and then they were shipped off to, let's say, Brazil, they would have still been. They would have still made the list. Yeah.
The ones that are not a part of this list, however, are, as we go to into Herkimer County, they're a part of the Albany Diocese.
Right, it's a different diocese.
Yeah.
There are, I would say this much, though, I would caution, there are, I know at least one, maybe more, that are currently subject to an investigation that the church did not release because at this point it's kind of like us when somebody's indicted, they haven't been proven guilty or whatever, and they're at that process. Because I know one of those is from this county that I have been involved with, and I know that at this point that name was not on the list because they haven't completely.
How do they get to? Joe Griffo is, and I know that you probably are good with this legislation because when it comes to this UC threat. I feel it's a law on top of a law, but
it is.
Okay. Nonetheless, here's a law that I would love Joe to propose, and that is my wife is a teacher. She's a mandated reporter.
Right.
So should coaches be? So should Boy Scout leaders, priests? Why is it? Why could we not pass a law that requires these people to report it not to their boss but to the authorities?
We could.
To me would be a real meaningful law that could be.
I agree. I mean, historically, the Catholic Church is a very powerful institution, and I will say, though, under the leadership of this bishop, I give him a lot of credit. The easiest thing to do in some of these circumstances is just, put your head down and look the other way and hope it goes away.
And he's retiring, too.
Yeah,
so.
and he doesn't have to do this, and he did it, and I believe him when he says that he wants to do this to start the healing process. And, I mean, there's a lot of reasons this took place, too. I mean, it's easy in today's day and age for us to look back and say, oh, my God, how could this happen?
Yeah.
But the reality is when we go back, and if you really think about what it was like back in the 50s and 60s, and the problem had, in my opinion, was that as a society, we targeted and attacked people that were gay or homosexual. Many times people that had those feelings were, directed by family members to go into the priesthood thinking that God could straighten them out and that somehow or another being homosexual was something that you could fix. It is just not, and it wasn't really until, recently and within our lifetime and not at the beginning of our lifetime too.
Right.
More towards the middle of our life.
I don't know if you follow the news, but it's still debated.
Right. But now, obviously there's a lot more people that are openly gay and they're accepted as they should be. And it wasn't until just a couple years ago that the state and then finally the federal government recognized, that homosexuality, they're protected and they can get married and things like that. So we've come a long way. So when we look at it through that,
it was in some states a crime,
right?
And I believe here
it was
a crime.
Yeah. And for us to not keep in mind what was going on back then, it's tough. And I give the Bishop a lot of credit because he's addressing. It's kind of like when prosecutors address wrongful convictions that took place in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. He's doing the same thing. He's addressing basically a terrible sin that took place years ago, but and he is doing it, and and I look forward to seeing how they do address it going forward. I'm interested in finding out if they will change the requirements or the prohibitions for priests. I mean, I just think it's very difficult for anybody. I mean, humans are sexual. We're animals. We're humans, and that's part of us, and you can't suppress that. And we saw that what happened in Word of Life. Same thing. When you try to suppress sexuality, bad things happen.
I want to. These guys both have questions, but I want to add one more. One, by the way, we're speaking to Scott McNamara, District Attorney in Oneida County. One more. And I'm not sure that you've seen any of these cases, but it's not exclusive to homosexual contact.
No, it's not.
There are reports now coming out that nuns have been sexually violated by priests. So this is something that really needs to change, and I truly believe that some accountability and some mandated reporting would be awesome legislation. Andrew,
I have really two quick ones. One, the first one was the decision by Bishop Cunningham and the diocese to release this list. My understanding from his initial letter was that because the district attorney's offices had the lists and it was time that the diocese shared them. Is that what went into the decision? And two, you had said there are active investigations. The diocese says there are no active priests in ministry in the diocese. Does that mean that those priests that are being investigated that you mentioned that aren't on the list they're not in service? They're being investigated. Are they still priests in the diocese? No, because the diocese is claiming there's no active priests currently with any credible complaints.
All right, so the answer to
two
that
questions. The first, I don't know what Bishop Cunningham's thought process was. I do know that the church gave us the list some time ago. I mean, the church initially signed an MOU with us in 2015. And it was, like I said, Bill Fitzpatrick, myself, many other DAs. The church was very open with us. They wanted to enter into the agreement, and they wanted to make sure that going forward, they were disclosing stuff, and there was an MOU for the listeners that might not understand. It's basically a contract. It's an agreement. And and then they redid the MOU at the church's request in this year, beginning of this year. And it was, I personally believe, and I don't know, I never spoke to the bishop about it, but just the timing of that MOU was right before they came out with the church put a bunch of money into a program where people that were molested could obtain funding. So that the new MOU was signed right before that. So I think they just wanted to shore up
this
their
may be
commitment.
A step in the process.
Yeah, and then but yes, it was during that time process that they gave us the list of the priests. Because we wanted to know so that we would be able to investigate, or like many of the priests were deceased. A couple of them the one in particular I was very familiar with locally because somebody had come forward and made a complaint. He had passed away. To answer your second question, I only know about the one in Oneida County, and that individual is no longer a priest.
Okay.
That individual has not been a priest for a long time.
Okay.
Somebody came forward and made an allegation. That allegation is not prosecutable. We can't prosecute it. It's not prosecutable because of the statute of limitations. It's something that happened in the 70s. And it wasn't until right before I became the DA in 2006, they changed the law as it pertains to statute of limitations. And basically, for the listeners that might not know what I'm talking about, for all felonies, generally speaking, the statute of limitations is 5 years. That means if somebody commits a crime and 5 years and 1 day passes, we cannot prosecute them. So if you think about a bank robbery, someone robs a bank, 5 years and 1 day, they can go out and say, I was the person.
Me.
No, I'm not. That's the statute of limitation.
I didn't know that for all felonies?
All felonies. And then what happens is certain felonies have had the statute of limitations removed. So, for example, murder has no statute of limitations, and that's why most cold cases are murders.
Sure.
In 2006, the legislature went back and addressed sex crimes against children. Now, historically, they had been changing it a little bit, Initially, it was changed because what was happening was, children would grow up, they'd go to college, and then when they went to college would be the time they report it. But the problem would be that most of the sex crimes took place when they were 12 or 13.
Right.
Add 5 years, what do you have? You're past. So they would come to us.
And that is typical. That has happened a lot. There are a lot of people.
It's more common than uncommon.
Yep.
And so they changed that. And then in 2006, they actually removed the statute of limitations for most of your violent felony sex crimes. So then it's where it becomes very complicated. It depends on whether or not the statute of limitations had run in 2006. So for some people, if they had never reported it, then the statute might be able to get us back into the mid-90s or something. But any time you're talking about something in the 80s and 70s, we're barred from prosecuting it.
When you talked about the 2014-15 agreement originally, you talked about you got a list of all accusations. The list that came out yesterday was credible accusations. Are you comfortable with that there's nobody missing from the list? In other words, you had a list of any accusation. Is there anybody on that list that didn't make this list that you felt should be on there? Do you understand what I'm saying?
I understand totally what you're saying. No, we did not get a list of all accusations.
Okay. I thought you said in 14-15.
I didn't. No, in 14-15, what we got the list that you
received yesterday.
Okay. We received that. Actually, I don't think it was 14-15. I think that was closer to this year that we were able to finally get the list from the church. They sent it to us. What they have been doing since 14, I think it was around 2015, they've been, anytime somebody makes a complaint, I get a letter.
Okay.
Before they do a full investigation. So, for example, if somebody comes forward,
just a complaint.
Right. Somebody comes forward and says, I'm accusing Father so-and-so, we get a letter saying so-and-so has accused Father so-and-so, just so you know. And what they
But you don't get to step in and begin your investigation.
Oh, absolutely. We have an agreement with the church that we can step in, and that's why they send us the letter.
That's big.
What they do is they tell us when the allegation was.
Okay.
So if the allegation's time barred, we don't typically get in the way of what they're doing. If the allegation is not time barred, we typically will try to interview them. Sometimes we interview them nonetheless, just to try to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
And some of the times they don't always just go directly to the church. I mean, they might two of them came directly to me through email.
I want to ask, Sue has a question from Utica. Sue, we just got about a minute and a half. Go ahead with your question.
Yeah, I'll make it quick. I heard on an Albany report on the news that private schools were not required to report sexual abuse or anything pertaining to sexual abuse, and they want to change the law where private schools are mandated.
Wow. So you mean a charter school would not be, or a private school?
I'm questioning that.
Do you know the answer to that?
Listen.
Okay, thank you, Sue. I'll look into that, because I think that's something, an area that should be addressed, that whole mandated reporting.
I agree 100%. I mean, coaches, there's a lot of people that see and have a
position of power.
Yeah, and to be, for the listeners to understand, to the number one place in my experience that we get the allegations from is the schools.
Yeah,
because they're mandatory reporters.
DA McNamara, we're going to have you back after this UC trial is over. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks.
Good deal. Thank you for your time. This was a lot of information here, so we really, really appreciate it. Good morning. It's Tuesday. Today's Tuesday. Tuesday.
Yes, it is.
Coming up, we'll talk to John Pisak, who's with the Herkimer County IDA. He's the director there. And big news down at the Pumpkin Patch. This new travel center they're putting in, and it's because of the increased traffic that'll be happening at the Tractor Supply facility, is going to be enormous.
So I guess we'll find out from John, but when you say a travel center, what you describe in my mind reminds me of like a throughway toll plaza.
Exactly right.
Gas stations, convenience store, bathrooms.
2 or 3 different
eateries.
stores, eateries. That's exactly what they're building.
Okay.
It seems like it's modeled after a throughway rest stop.
Interesting. So, that's huge. That's going to be...
I think it is huge.
They're really redesigning what that area looks like when you go past that bridge.
Completely.
Yeah.
Which is right near the Herkimer County Fairgrounds. That's where the Irish Fest is. It's crazy. Rachel Daughtry is with Compassion Coalition, and that grocery store that you've been watching that is near the Catholic Church right over there. on the arterial is opening today. Mm-hmm. And I've been in their previous store. This is you get some unbelievable deals on fresh produce. Mm-hmm. And here to talk about that is Rachel. She's the director of agency relations for Compassion Coalition. Good morning, Rachel.
Good morning. Thanks for having me, guys.
It is quite a facility.
Yes.
And I'm talking about the old one, but now this is all much larger and brand new. This is going to impress a lot of people, I think.
Yeah. You know, we did a flashback yesterday, just posted a picture of, you know, the old store versus the new store. And it's literally the most surreal experience for our team because we're going from 1,200 square feet to 13,000 square feet of brand new retail space.
Yeah. And you get explain what this. So let's say you're from Whitesboro or you're from New Hartford and you do your grocery shopping wherever you do it, but you wouldn't think to go to a place that is designed to help charity.
Exactly.
So that's where I think this gets a little confusing for people. But this is open to everybody and for good reason.
Yeah.
So explain that if you could.
So that's the biggest thing that has always hindered us is that, I don't know when the rumor started, but years ago the rumor started that only people of specific income brackets could shop with us.
Right.
It's untrue. We invite everyone to shop with us because what we do is the money that is made in that store helps us to do the programming that we do within the community. So whether it's mattress giveaways, giveaways to schools, the Teacher Resource Center, it's funded through our store. And if we don't sell that product, we're just giving into that 40% of food that is wasted in America each year. And that's what we're fighting against. So we invite everyone to shop with us. We get enough product to share with everyone in the community, all surrounding communities. And so that's the one thing that I want to abolish this year is that notion of, no, you can't shop there. That's only for specific income.
Now, explain, though, if you could. There are times that you might, because you guys work with these companies, let's say, and if I'm misrepresenting you, be sure to step in. But let's say they're making a delivery to a Walmart, and they get there and they say, well, we didn't want this truckload of potatoes.
Yeah.
So normally what would happen is that would just be thrown away. Yes. You guys pick it up, right?
Yes, and so we have our own fleet of trucks that we go all over. That's called a rejected load. And so what happens is, say a Price Chopper or some big box name store orders a 40,000-pound tractor trailer, and they pop the seal on that and they say, you know, we didn't order this. That truck driver has to go to his next stop. He has to either dump that or find somewhere for that to go. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times when truck drivers are out on the road, it's, 2 to 4 in the morning. Who's open at that time? And so we tell people, we tell truck drivers, we tell stores, we will gladly take that, and we will actually compensate you for it. And so that is another thing that we do to, reduce that 40% of food waste. Because I don't know if you know this, but here's a little tidbit, too, of fact, is there's only 300 food banks in America that actually can handle a big rig truck, which is unfortunate. And so what we do then is we actually share with a lot of our emergency food pantries. Mm-hmm. And so we get overages of product. We call, we say, hey, we have pallets of yogurt in. Come and get what you need. Distribute it to our communities. And so it's really amazing. It's almost like a hub for the community right here.
Well, and with the poverty level in this area, specifically in the city of Utica, this is really, really needed. One thing, though, that I think that's something worth thinking about is you might have gotten a shipment of arugula. I don't know, and all this stuff is perishable, so it's got to move.
Yes.
But you might come in one day and there's this gigantic special on arugula because you got a whole truckload of arugula.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bad example, by the way. The arugula is probably not a good example.
Give an example with Greek yogurt.
Delicious. Y'all, come on. You got any deals on that?
Arugula is actually something we do get in a lot, and if people don't know how to use it, but that's a perfect example. And the thing is, we never have the same product. And so it's always changing because we buy what's offered to us at the market. Mm-hmm. So like last week, peppers were too high to get. We could not even touch peppers.
Okay.
So we got cauliflower instead. So it's always changing. We actually have customers that call us the special store. I always laugh about that because they're like, what did we find this week at the special store? What deals did you get?
Well, and you can find some really unique items, too, right? You guys get some really...
What's the durian fruit? You got any of those?
Yeah.
What is it?
The durian.
Durian?
It's,
It's nasty.
Yeah, smell it.
I don't think they'd ever buy any of those.
Yeah. All right, well, so you're open today. What are the hours of the store?
So we are open now 9 to 6 p.m., Monday through Saturday, and we are located at 1110 Lincoln Ave. We're directly across the street from the tram, and we're right off of Court Street exit.
Okay.
So, 9 to 6.
Closed on Sunday.
We are closed on Sunday.
Okay.
And I have to say, this store went up very quickly. You probably doesn't feel that way for you, but you know, for us, we're driving by and it's like, wow, that's they made a lot of progress there. So
they did a phenomenal job. The guys who worked on the store did an absolutely phenomenal job, and even our local politicians helped us so tremendously.
Well,
we also have a 3,000 square foot kitchen.
Oh, really? Wow. So explain how that'll be used.
So we're going to start doing prepared foods because a lot of times people come into the store and they don't know how to use the fresh vegetables.
Mm-hmm.
And so what happens is, a lot of the people who live in this area will go to bodegas and in one foul swoop will buy, whatever it might be and use their EBT card. We're going to teach people how to use the product. We're going to have healthy meals, grab-and-go meals. We're even going to start doing family meals. So you can come in and get meals made, for a family of 4 or 5 people.
Yeah, I like that. And by the way, this is the closest grocery store for people now in West Utica. This is a huge improvement for people living in West Utica.
Yes. We're excited.
Just one clarification. We call it the Compassion Coalition Supermarket. What's the official name?
The official name is now Bargain Grocery. So we put on the title now because a lot of people always differentiate, but we're one and the same. Yep. It's Compassion Coalition's Bargain Grocery. So you can call us whatever you want. Just come and visit us.
All I know is, and especially if you're having like a big event or something and you need to buy anything in bulk, you'll be walking through and all of a sudden you'll see artichokes and there's the gigantic pile of artichokes. And the price is Rachel, the price is what you have to focus on here too.
Yeah.
The deals are enormous.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, we have organic milk today for $1 for a gallon, 50 cents for half gallon, and we even have lactose free for 50 cents.
Wow.
Where else are you going to get that?
Yeah.
I'll be making a stop down there this morning.
Very cool.
Yeah, come visit us.
And keep in mind, the money that they make on this store, that goes to provide towards the charities that they focus on. I think that's the important part. So, all right, very nice, Rachel. Congratulations. We will be seeing you guys. There's no doubt about it. I'm going there. So.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
I know.
It's worth a while. Back when it was where they were located over there in whatever street that was on, Lafayette or whatever,
Lincoln
Street,
Lincoln Ave,
Lincoln Ave, right? It was in an old building, but it was really just full of all sorts of whatever they got in that day. And I think the day I think they had a big special on Vidalia onions or something like that. But the price is unbelievable.
Where they're located, right over by where the
now they're located over by the tram.
So that was Lafayette. Now it's Lincoln.
Okay, now it's Lincoln. Right, yes. I thought it was Lafayette over there.
You're right.
Nonetheless, check it out. It's open today. What are you doing watching porn in a Starbucks?
Yes.
You couldn't have waited till you got home?
Why would you be looking at porn inside of any public facility? They have a big problem with that at the library, too.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Because free internet.
Kid will go in. Kids are not kids necessarily, but maybe kids. But people will go in there and they'll begin looking at porn on the computers at the library.
I can't believe that's not. Well, I guess it probably is now blocked.
Well, it's against the rules, and I believe they can block it now.
Yeah.
So, however, Pornhub is finding a way to get around it because what happens is they basically look at the content. So the content is rated, and then your Wi-Fi programming will block that content. So Pornhub is offering material that they kind of, what is it? It's an initial safe for work, SFW.
Oh, NSFW.
NSFW?
Okay. Safe for work. NSFW.
Oh, not safe for work. So they're changing the classifications in order to get by the Starbucks.
To say safe for work.
But if you're watching porn at a Starbucks, there's something wrong with you.
Mocha latte.
Okay. That and a mocha latte. The other place you shouldn't be watching porn, is on an airplane. What are you doing? On your laptop? Are you kidding me?
Sir, your headphones aren't working. Turn that down.
Yeah. Hello. Oh, gosh. And quickly on that trial yesterday, the Amerovic, is that how he pronounces it? Amerovic. That's how his name is pronounced. Anyway, yeah, it was surreal, the testimony yesterday, and I'm assuming his attorney, who we've spoken with in here.
Who will come on after the trial.
We'll speak with him afterwards. I'm sure this is a way to maybe reduce the sentence, saying that he was under the influence of Adderall, 10 or 15 pills a day, he said that he was on. So he no longer remembers anything of what happened. This is the WUTR report. Let's listen to what they had on the trial from yesterday.
Stories of panic and fear from the students last week. But when Omerovic takes the stand today, well, that's a very different tale. When it comes to March 5th and 6th, Omerovic says it's a blank slate.
Mentally, did you make the phone call to Amel at the bank?
I don't believe so, no.
Did you see the video and watch yourself making a call on speakerphone?
I did.
A trend throughout the day, a pattern of I don't remember or I don't recall.
I don't know.
And when you were booked by the Utica Police Department, did they ask you if you used any drugs?
I don't know.
But there is one thing he was certain of.
This was his parents, I believe.
You could go to state prison for 14 years. You don't think that's a stressful thing?
I believe it's more stressful to the fact, which I alluded to earlier, that I don't remember doing this. That's more stressful and more harmful to me than the consequences of it.
Did you hear that he said, I don't remember. I don't remember any of this.
I don't remember. I don't know.
Which
Let's
is all
be honest,
new, right?
It worked for Hillary Clinton. So
it did, yeah. Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, because even when I think we had spoken to his attorney before, and one of the points that he was trying to emphasize was that he was very sorry, and that he's the defense was almost that he helps take care of his sister, and that he's helpful to his parents, and that he works multiple jobs. So it's almost like this strategy. I don't know that it's ever been suggested before.
I wonder why the defense attorney would say, well, of course I wasn't going to bring that up on the radio. That's something that I would bring up in trial. But it does seem as if the story has changed here. He says there's actually a guy that he's described. He's a white male, kind of tall. His name is Jay. And he's the drug dealer that he would buy his Adderall off. And lots of like 150, 160 pills. Here's the rest of this report.
As for the motive, Omerovic doesn't know why he did it.
You ever tell him why?
The video does not reflect that, no.
Do you know why today?
I don't.
Once Omerovic finished testifying, the prosecution called a rebuttal witness, a psychiatrist who believes Omerovic did not suffer from ADHD and the medication he was on shouldn't cause memory loss.
The attorney or the prosecution said, I never trust those from one side or the other when they bring in a psychologist.
Right.
Because if they're for the defense, they're there on behalf of the defense. If they're for the prosecution, they're going to. Yeah. If I were a juror,
I would say that
if I were on jury duty, I'd be like, I've already made up my mind. I know exactly who did it.
I don't need this testimony.
I don't need it. Just let's get right to the decision. I'd like to go with guilty.
I guess it kind of does fit, though. It's a bit of a stretch, but his defense in that he took care of his family and his sister, and he had all these things going on. He was a student. So this was not routine behavior, but then he starts taking these pills, this drug, and then he gets, he doesn't remember anything, almost like being blackout drunk type thing. I'm not saying that's a great defense. I'm just saying it seems like that's where they're going with it.
So
it might help him, and it might help him when it comes to the number of years he's going to be doing in jail after the sentencing, because I think he's going to be pretty quickly found guilty here.
I'm looking at healthline.com. I'm talking about the lethal dosage of Adderall. So for somebody who weighing 154 pounds, it's about 1,400 milligrams. A typical Adderall pill, to my understanding, is anywhere from 10 to 30. So if his testimony is saying that he was taking 10 to 15 that day, it's at least 1,000 to 1,500. So he'd be pretty close to a lethal dose if that was the case.
I think your math is wrong.
Because That would be for a person 154 pounds. So you could take a ton of, I guess.
If it's 10 milligrams to get to 10 times 10, if you took 10 pills, would be 100, not 1,000.
Oh, sorry, yeah. That's why Jeff's our resident math person.
Yeah, he's always correcting us when it comes to math.
Yeah.
That's great.
So he would have to basically tenfold increase that dose.
So that number makes sense.
Still, though, if he's doing if it's correct and he's doing 16 pills a day, that is certainly
enough to give you a stomach ache.
Can't be healthy.
Yeah,
I don't know if you get a stomach ache or not. I've never taken it. I can't say from personal experience.
Come on, Bill. What about your times taking Adderall?
I've never done more than 8. Crazy, right? We haven't been down 5S near the Herkimer County Fairgrounds in a while. You'll be really shocked when you drive through there and see the massive facility that Tractor Supply has built down there, and now they'll be out of space because the next step of the project is actually building this. I'm calling it a transportation center. John Pisak is the director of the IDA in Herkimer County. Can I call it a transportation center? What are you guys calling it?
Well, I think it is. I think it's going to be a place where because there is no place to really get fuel from Syracuse out to Fonda, and this will be a perfect location for trucks to go into and fuel up and wash and use the scale. And there'll be a convenience store there, and there'll be other amenities there that'll help support not only the trucks going through, but the local area in the region.
Well, there is the as you mentioned, Fonda. There is that place in Fonda as you get off, and it's there's showers there and all. But that's an old facility. This is going to be brand new.
I'm curious when you went to that facility.
and how I knew there were showers.
Yeah.
Well, it was a long...
Another day, John.
You got to get up early in the morning if you're going to pull one over on John. Listen,
we're going to have to invite you to the Christmas Eve show.
Yes, we are.
Yep.
We talked earlier. We envision this, imagining in our minds here. It's kind of like a throughway toll plaza. Was that what you would say?
Well, it's going to be there'll be high-speed tanks or pumps on there for the trucks. There'll be a certain area for wash. There'll be larger than your normal throughway rest area, too, for the actual building itself.
Wow.
And so you'll see. But what's great, too, is for the local guys who drive at night and plow, for the villages and the towns in the area. There's really no place for them to go. This will be fantastic for them.
Yeah. So this is, if I'm driving and making my way, I'm short on gas, which, by the way, I've run out of gas right there by the pumpkin patch before. My wife is like,
Jeez, I'd love if they make a gas station here someday.
Can anybody use the gas station?
Oh, sure, yeah. There's going to be regular fuel pumps and gas, and we're looking towards electric vehicle, too, down the road.
And the other thing is the food, which you haven't really announced as yet, I don't believe, but it's going to have a bit of a local flair, right?
That's correct. They're looking to do as much local as possible.
Yeah.
So it's going to be more like there'll be things from the area, from history in the region. They want to make it a destination, too. All these truck drivers, they know where the good rest areas are and where they can fuel up the best and the easiest. So, they'll be coming off the Utica exit coming this way. They'll be heading from the Herkimer exit coming this way. When we anticipate that being done and the entire park being completely full, which it is now, but all up and running, we're looking at 750 to 800 employees a day going in and out.
Wow.
That's awesome.
That's really big.
So,
especially considering it used to be like 2 people selling pumpkins.
Yeah. Great job.
Mrs. Russell is still across the road selling things.
Oh, okay. Well, that's the farm that. I put it all together. I've purchased produce from her, as a matter of fact.
Oh yeah, she does a nice job.
Yeah.
And before I forget, I don't want to change the topic, but I just need to tell you one other thing. We formed an agricultural development council here at the IDA, and tomorrow we're hosting an industrial hemp seminar, a question and answer period up at the college from 9 to 11 in room 288. It's open to the public. What we've heard from the farmers in the region that they need some alternative crops, especially where the milk prices are going. And we thought it was a great idea to get people in. We're going to have Cornell experts in, the state, everybody to come in and talk about industrial hemp to see if that's the way some of these farmers would like.
Well, this area was the hemp capital of the country at one point, so it's fitting. The climate, it does work for this, and, man, the demand is there right now.
And there are processors in the state that are looking for products, so I think if you have the processors, you have the farmland that you can produce this on, I think it'll be a win-win for everybody.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. We were the hops capital, not the hemp capital.
I was thinking
Thought I'd give you another one there, John.
Both have their benefits.
However, in our day, there was a lot of hemp being grown in this country. So
sure, there was. And industrial hemp is different than marijuana. It's a gene off. You can't. I mean, you could smoke anything you want, but you're not going to get anything out of it. It's just the way that you when you harvest it. And we'll be talking about it tomorrow. We're going to have processors there, producers there. And like I said, Cornell and some experts that can really guide us in what maybe will look good for our county and our region coming up, because we do need some alternative crops for the farmers.
All right, Andrew.
And so just back to that travel center, I know that you don't want to make any announcements on some of the local brands that are going to be represented, but is there a flagship kind of, is it Pilot? Is it, what's the company that's coming in?
Well, no, they look to consultants to best develop that site. When you get into the franchising with the other ones, I'm not sure which direction they're going in just yet.
Okay.
What we've done is we made an agreement on the sale of the land and to hold a public hearing on the pilot program that we'll offer to them. So, our payment in lieu of taxes. You're looking at property there that hasn't received tax dollars in 20 years, over 20 years.
Yeah.
And before that, it was farmland. Look at the differences it's making for the community. How about the school district? We're looking to help out everybody. Conservatively speaking, the sales tax generated from this will be around $800,000 a year.
Wow.
That's going to help out the community, tremendously.
That is incredible. So you may have just answered this, but I didn't understand your answer. So this will be privately owned or owned by Herkimer County?
No, it's privately owned.
Okay.
Yeah, the county. But boy, would we like to, but we really can't. So.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Well, that's a good thing, though.
I think the last time, might have even been last year, there was a hint from the legislature that maybe you were looking for additional property for another business park. Has there been any progress on that?
We're still looking. We've approached some different people with some property. We haven't closed on anything yet. But we do have some opportunities out there. We still have Mannheim that we're developing that has 30 acres. That's actually permitted meat processing, and we've been actively searching out a few of those. So there's a lot of different things going on throughout our county and the region. I mean, we've been working very closely with EDGE, Empire State Development. The counties are working closely together. There's just so many good things happening. We want to keep the momentum going.
All right. Well, you do seem to have the momentum right now on your side. John Pisak, Herkimer County IDA, thanks so much for taking the time, and congratulations.
Oh, thank you. And like us on Facebook.
All right. We will definitely do that. All right, John.
Have a good day.
All right. That is so funny how I somehow heard hemp, and somehow in my mind it became hops. Because there's a huge demand for hops right now.
And hemp.